Hi, I'm Paul Friedman. I'm the founder of the Marriage Foundation. And I really suggest that even before we get into this title, that you subscribe to the channel, because we're the only place that really talks about marriage the way marriage is. This title is 5 Signs Your Husband Wants to Leave You and What You Should Do. I used to be a divorce mediator, so I've seen plenty of husbands leaving wives and wives leaving husbands. That was over 20 years ago. And then I switched over to helping couples stay together. I wouldn't have done that if I hadn't discovered what you might call the truth about marriage. And I created an entire teachings of marriage and how to really help people. And I worked with couples for 8 years and individuals, and I did that until my son died, and then I couldn't meet with anyone you can understand, and then we went online creating all of these courses that we have, and I wrote a couple of books. That was actually well before, but we have an understanding of marriage here, myself and the counselors who I've trained, that will help you achieve the reasons you get married in the first place, which is unknown. Most people don't even know why they get married. Sure, you fall in love and so you want to get married, but it's much deeper than that. There's this whole, and let's face it, it's a spiritual thing, marriage, because love is spiritual. It's not tangible. In a material sense, you can't touch it, feel it, see it, but we know it's real. And we get married because we want that love. We want happiness. And because it's not something that we're really taught in life the right way, for sure, most of us miss the boat, which is why we have an over 50% divorce rate. So here, what we're doing at the Marriage Foundation is really helping people, giving them the right kind of guidance with our books, our talks on these videos, articles, and it works. What we do works, which is the most important thing. It works for you, and it doesn't matter how bad your marriage is. You can still have and you should insist upon having the most incredible marriage filled with love, filled with joy. And I put it all together so it's possible, because we have free will, we have volition, we have consciousness and awareness. So it's just a matter of connecting the dots. I don't know why no one's ever done this before. Even the really good, the people who are really focused on marriage the right way, they miss the boat. And I think it's because they're afraid to say, love is spiritual. God did create marriage for us. I don't know why they're afraid to say that, but they are. I'm not. So let's get into this. 5 signs your husband wants to leave you and what you should do. So number 1 is, I have to read this, of course, because I don't have that good a memory. He makes excuses to spend time away from you. Because when you're together, you're always fighting or arguing, or you're not getting along the way you should. And this is a really big sign that your husband wants to leave you. And it makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, if every time you're together, you're arguing and fighting, why would he want to stay in that environment? And men and women approach marriage very differently, but I am betting that you're frustrated with the way things are also. Otherwise, you wouldn't be fighting. Fighting shouldn't occur. This is the truth. Other people say, well, you should learn how to argue, you should learn how to reason things out, you should learn how to discuss. That's what I say. That fools argue, wise men discuss. But there shouldn't be any fighting in a marriage. It's just that we've gotten accustomed to it. We see it on TV and the movies. That's our big educator for marriage, isn't it? The movies. books in the old days, television. We see how they behave and we think that's real, especially sitcoms. And it's not how a good marriage is. It's not about fighting. So this is one of the signs that your husband is always making excuses. He doesn't want to spend time with you. Number 2, he barely wants you intimately. And when he does have sex with you, it's just a rush job. He can't wait to be done. Certainly doesn't want to hang around and hug you and tell you how beautiful you are. And this is a sign that he wants to leave you, because otherwise he would be into it. I mean, if you had this connection, it's a soulmate connection. You're a soul, he's a soul. And this soulmate connection is very valuable in a healthy marriage, because there's no better way physically to connect ourselves spiritually. Notice I didn't say emotionally. Spiritually, than through physical intimacy. But if all you're doing it for is recreationally or whatever, it's not a good sign. And nobody wants to be in a marriage like that. Number 3, his patience with your complaining, your criticizing, putting him down, is down to nothing. He has no patience for it anymore. He doesn't want to hear it. So when you complain about something, and it could be innocent in your mind, he just poo-poos you or says you're full of it, or it turns into an argument. He has no patience for it. Now, I should say here that you shouldn't allow yourself to be critical of your husband. You shouldn't allow yourself to be complaining. And I'm also saying that this happens in both directions. But remember, you're the one searching this, and so this is addressed to women. I'm not going to list why on the other side, not in this video. So his patience, he's lost all his patience with, and it comes down to where he doesn't even have patience when you're talking to him about something that's important. And this is not a good sign. It means he's not really in the marriage anymore. He's already out of the marriage for all intents and purposes. He's just there physically. Next, he's starting to talk about divorce. And a lot of people talk about divorce from time to time, and people think, oh, it's just that he was angry, and it's much deeper than that. Your marriage is supposed to be all about love and joy. If you're talking about divorce, it means your marriage isn't like that. So, another sign that your husband wants to leave you. And the last one is probably the most important for most of you. Those of you who have depth, and most of you who have depth are coming to our channel. You can feel he doesn't feel loved, and you know it. You know when your husband is feeling loved and when he's not, because you're intuitive. As a woman, your feelings go much further than mere emotions or recognizing things that are happening on the outside with your eyes or with your ears. You have an intuitive feel for this. And if your husband isn't feeling loved, well, why would he want to stay in his marriage? Right? So what can you do about all of this? Well, I'm going to give you the simple answer, and then I'm going to go into more depth. The simple answer is you can change yourself into the woman who he thought he was getting married to in the first place. Think back, what were your marriage vows? I will love you, cherish you, be devoted to you, be loyal to you. Let's just take a look at loyalty. What does that mean? Everyone just thinks it means I won't cheat on you. But it's much deeper than that. Loyalty is when you're in service to your spouse. You're in service to your husband, which means you're not complaining at him. You're not putting him down, condemning him. You're not being critical of him. You're being supportive. Remember when you were dating, you laughed at all his jokes, even if you heard him 17 times? You'd make cookies for him. You dressed nicely for him. When you kissed him, it was just open heart, open everything. You expressed your love. And not externally, not thinking, oh, I'll do this, but you felt it. You recognized him as your soulmate, and it was expressed in your relationship. And then over time, and this is one of the major killers of a marriage, is you became overfamiliar. You thought it was okay to criticize him, to judge him, to tell him what to do, to nag him, to bother him, badger him about things, to insist that he does this way and does it that way. That's what happens. I saw it when I was a divorce mediator because people brought that into our sessions. And it is literally one of the killers. I call it overfamiliarity. That is in virtually every marriage that is ending. On both sides, the husband and the wife are overfamiliar with each other. There's no respect. There's no consideration. You got to know each other so well that you felt you could point out each other's flaws, and that's not what marriage is about. So you change yourself. You don't say to him, look, I know that you're unhappy, and I've done my research, and you put these 5 signs among the other signs that you're hearing from other people, and you tell him, this is what I'm seeing, what's going on. You don't do that. No. You don't need to. You know. And so what you do need to do is you need to change yourself back into the woman that he fell in love with, that he wanted to spend the rest of his life with. And you do it from the place of love, not from the place of fear that you're going to lose your marriage, but you remind yourself, I fell in love with this man, I love him. I need to treat him that way. I need to remember I love him all the time. Now, when I first started working with people, what I did was I said, okay, and making it sound like, okay, let's meet tomorrow. I've got this idea. No, I had to really figure out what's going on, because all the information that is out there now about marriage is mostly incorrect. Even the good stuff is incorrect. There's teachings about marriage that I've put together, and in fact, if you're interested in becoming a TMF marriage counselor, and all we do is marriage, then you ought to look into that, because we're starting to expand to where we're going to have marriage counselors in offices again. So, but for now, all you could do is get the course for women. If you're a man, the course for men, read one of my books, watch these videos, read the articles. And when I used to meet with people, in the very beginning, where I came to was understanding that we have control by virtue of free will over anything and everything that we say and do. Isn't that true? What's free will? And so what I did was I broke it down, and I said to my clients, look, you want love and you want happiness, right? Right. And by the way, love and happiness in a marriage that is understood and working is ever increasing. It's not like, okay, got it. It gets better every single day. And so I said, just choose. Is what you're about to say going to infuse love and happiness into your sacred space of marriage? Or is it going to be detrimental? And that kind of worked. But quickly I realized a very important reality. that didn't even dawn on me until literally my first client came back to me. Well, I say my first client because the man came back to me and said, Paul, this is it. It's right. And I have a problem, though. I want to say the right thing. I want to do the right thing. But I forget. And what happens is I do the wrong thing. And we slide back. And I thought, And so I took a deeper look and I realized the mind is, by the way, the mind is a possession. We're souls. So we own our mind. But the mind ends up controlling us, takes away, you might say, our free will, because we have given it the power to do so by relying on our habits. And we don't catch ourselves. So I came up with this, I prayed, meditated, and it came to me, this technique. We call it the SO technique. S, stop. Just stop everything. Before you say something, even before you're thinking something, just stop. E, evaluate. Is what I'm going to say coming from my heart, or am I being a jerk? And then W, wisdom. Respond with wisdom. So it's the SO technique. S-E-W. And I mean, it takes a while to really assimilate it. And in the course, we go step by step. It's very well laid out. But it changes everything. It gives you power over your mind. And your mind is not you. You know, this is one of the biggest problems with Western psychology. They don't come out and say you are the mind, but it's inferred in everything that they do. You read Freudian stuff and, you know, all of this, it's all about the mind, that you're the mind. And we don't do that here at the Marriage Foundation. I tell you right now, that's not true. You're not the mind. You're the soul. You don't have a soul. You are a soul. You have a mind. You have a body. And one of the keys to having a successful marriage, in fact, a successful life, is to learn how to master your mind. We're not taught this stuff, I know. Someday we will be. I've discovered these things. These are truths. These are not my ideas. These are the truth. It's just that other people haven't fallen onto them yet. But that's how you do it. And so that's what you do to heal your marriage, to get rid of the question of whether your husband's going to leave you or not. Don't even ask your husband. Don't go there. You know what you need to do. You need to heal your marriage. You don't need to do it with him. Another truth. One of you can do all the work. It's like building a bridge. You want a bridge. One of you is on one side, the other is on the other. Sure, it's nice if both of you are building it and you come together, but it's not necessary. You could build a bridge. And then he'll go, oh, look at this. My wife is being so wonderful. She's so loving again. And she's building the bridge. And I'm going to come on that bridge. And then you have your soul connection again. Marriage is so beautiful. People don't realize what an amazing gift marriage is to humanity from God. No person, you know, when I was a kid, I used to wonder where marriage came from, you know, because, I mean, just in the last so many years, things have changed so much with the man and woman thing. And I could look back in time when I was a kid and saw that men owned women. And I thought at first, well, maybe what happened was, you know, the man fell in love and wanted to marry her, and then it caught on. Because I didn't understand all these things when I was a kid, but that's not it. God gave us marriage. It's been around forever. And it's a sacred union. And it should be treated as such, and revered as such, and appreciated as such. But it's like anything else. If you don't know how to use something, it doesn't produce what it's intended to produce. And marriage is no different. But when you learn how, wow, nothing's better. So I appreciate your coming to the Marriage Foundation for this help. And I hope you go to our website and see what else is there, because we have lots to offer. And I wish you and your husband only the best, and we'll do everything we can to help you. God bless you. Thank you so much. I'm Paul Friedman. I'm the founder, and take care.